Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching NDTV. Ministers aren't above the law, and Justice N. Anand Venkatesh tore into Tamil Nadu Forest Minister K. Ponmudy for his derogatory remarks on the 17th of April against Shaivites, Vaishnavites and also women. He questioned police inaction, warned of revoking Ponmudy's suspended sentence and also demanded answers from the DGP of the state. Now, Minister Ponmudy's comments on women that he issued a few days ago were completely shameful, but what is also concerning is that his party, the DMK, just suspended him from his party position, didn't really expel him from the party or even his ministership. But now that the court has intervened strongly, what is the larger message to political parties who often let their leaders get away with offensive speech against women? And also, what message does this incident send to women and also religious communities that keep getting targeted by such rhetoric? Remember that hate speech is not just against one community, but also against women and several other communities, even those who don't complain. This is what we talk about today. Joining us now is we have spokespersons from the DMK and also from the AIDMK. We have Kalyan Raman, who is an analyst. We also have Harish Mohammed Ibrahim, who supports the DMK. Thank you both of you for joining me on this broadcast. To you, Mr. Raman, first, how do you see the court's instructions today? Anand Venkateshan is also, he's known for a lot of his judgments, but clearly what he has said today is very important, and it's a larger message to not just women, but also voters of the state and also to political parties that they cannot take this lightly.
I am only concerned that the DMK men would go and threaten the High Court kept himself in the process of intimidating them, because I suspect that they would end up doing that in the process. We have a crying chief minister, somebody who sheds tears on and off, saying that you guys are not permitting me to sleep because of your activism, addressing it to their own cadres and the ministers. Okay, here's a classic case in which Ponmudy had made such a derogatory, shameless, insensitive observations in a public meeting.
Okay, we'll just try to fix this connection now. Harish, what would you say of what the court said today? Because Minister Ponmudy was sacked from his party post or Deputy General Secretary after his address. He's also apologized, but clearly what he said that day, he told this story, it was completely vulgar, involving sexual positions and two sects of Hinduism, both Shaivism and also Vaishnavism. He has apologized, but clearly there is, he's saying that it's a lapse of judgment, but he is a seasoned politician. Clearly this is something that he shouldn't have said. And now the court feels that what is being done is not enough.
Of course, as we have been speaking on this issue earlier also, no one will be accepting what has been said by Mr. Ponmudy, and even the party has taken stringent actions against stripping off his party's position as a Deputy General Secretary. So more than beyond that, he has apologized, even though it is not a tongue slip, because it has been deliberately, which has been said during the speech, which has been vehemently opposed not only by the other political parties, even within inside, including Madam Kanimoli has been opposed. The speech has been vehemently, which has been unwarranted, which is uncalled for, which is unsolicited for anyone who's conducting on the public domain, which has to be refrained. There is no other second thought about it. And if that has to go through the political discourse, then the state government have acted stringently upon him. And now the court has been taken down this issue and asked them to file for an case on particular issue rather than filing on a different cases. File it a single case is what been adjected by directed to the police station, and the laws will take its own course of action. And let us wait and watch is what I have to say. But this will set up a precedent for the people on the public discourse, public domain has to make sure that the course of civility has to be maintained is what we can understand.
And that criminal action not being initiated against the minister, despite video evidence of his derogatory speech, is something that is a point of concern here. Kalyan Raman, would you see something like that being a point of contention here? Because, there is a video evidence that's available. Everybody on X knows what he said. And here, we are waiting for criminal action to happen. We are waiting for courts to issue that sense of responsibility.
let me give one line evidence here. There appears to be a righteous situation. This is the one line made in politics. I was arrested. This one line in a righteous situation is emerging as it looks. This is the observation on which I was arrested. So, when somebody makes such a huge statement against the whole society, that was the biggest statements in the society, in the Samaj, the Shaivites and Vaishnavites, and that too, equating both Shaivism and Vaishnavism with sex work, I can say that. And this man called CM, he's called CM very apathetically. He's sitting like a duck. It doesn't even know what these ministers are teaching. Shameless creators sitting as ministers. In Tirukural, we have an entire chapter located for what a minister shall be, how Puritan, how advisory role they should be playing, how they should be, how criticism. All these observations have been made in Tamil, such a wonderful language, the oldest of the world. The most civilized community having elected the most civilized creators as ministers.
Okay, let me get in Kasturi Shankar here. Kasturi, you've been an actor and you've also been in the crosshairs of many politicians. How do you see what the court said today? Because the fact that criminal action was not initiated and the fact that public apologies are often not enough for hate speech, and the fact that hate speech is not just against minorities but also against several other communities and also against women, and that needs to be taken seriously because there could be legal consequences that can follow. Is that a serious message that the court has sent out here?
I think the first and biggest message that has been sent out by Justice Anand Venkatesh, and let me remind people that Justice Anand Venkatesh famously pronounced a rejection, a dismissal of my bail plea before I myself was arraigned for what I consider trumped-up charges. He does not take kindly to hate speeches, and in this case, what came up before him was not anything pertaining to Mr. Ponmudy's recent crass speech. What came up before him was something about his disproportionate assets case, and he has been granted a lot of relief by the Supreme Court, which has kept the matter pending. And that's when the situation came up, he seized the opportunity to reiterate zero tolerance towards hate speech. He has also pointed out clearly that when the law goes behind people that it considers when the ruling dispensation goes behind opponents of the ruling party, such as Mr. H. Raja, Mr. Annamalai, Ms. Kasturi, and others who dare to question the status quo, why is it that not even a whimper has been heard from the law enforcement agencies in Tamil Nadu about what definitely qualifies as not only as a hate speech, but also as a derogatory speech and an extremely unfortunate, that's the word he used, unfortunate line of thought taken against 6 categories, including women in general, sex workers in specific, Vaishnavites, Shaivites, the Hindu community. So he has gone very strongly on it. I think he has completely exposed the selective action of police in the state of Tamil Nadu against habitual offenders. Mr. Ponmudy is a habitual offender. This is not the first time he has been pulled up for crass speech. And this is the first time a judge has actually directed the law enforcement agencies to take action without any complaint at all, because that's what I think the police will hide behind is they will say nobody complained. There are many people who complained, but no FIRs were filed, and that's the question the Justice Anand Venkatesh has asked, and that's the question people were asking for the last 4 days. That's the question I have been asking. I've been saying, you know how the ruling disposition harassed me. You know what kind of propaganda machinery was set forth against me. What about this man? Who questions this?
Kalyan Raman, there's a lot about DMK politics also that has come out in the last few days. DMK has evolved as a party in the last many years, be it atheism or for that matter, the fact that they wanted Tamil Nadu as a separate, separate from India. Those are things of the past. But now, still the party needs to evolve when it comes to its the projection of its politics, and all parties need to evolve here. Even BJP makes a lot of mistakes when it comes to the language that a lot of politicians use. We saw what Ramesh Biduri said in Delhi with respect to Priyanka Gandhi. So patriarchy, misogyny is there in a lot of parties. But what precedent does this set for inaction in cases like Ponmudy's? Does it also set an example for politicians who make hate-filled remarks and don't even apologize immediately? Because it took, several days for even Ponmudy to apologize, and even now the party has not acted against him, by expelling him from the party.
See, look at it. It is not only Ponmudy. It is A. Raja, on-record visible characters. There are men who are just trained to create a make derogatory statements against specifically Hindu Samaj, like Shivaji Krishnamurti, like Saidi Sadiq. There are so many such people who are trained in their theatrics of DMK just to bang on the opponents and also the Hindu society. They want to consolidate the minority votes. That has been their aspiration. That 20% minority votes of Tamil Nadu is what is their gain in the process, while attacking the Hindus. On the contrary, they can split the Hindus in the name of caste. That is the idea with which they have been toying. As I said, the shameful manner in which the CM is acting, that he doesn't even know what the ministers are doing, and that he is unwilling to take any action against the ministers, is giving the minorities an additional weapon against the Hindus. It is precisely to polarize or rather consolidate the minority votes that they have been doing it deliberately. Even though there are so many complaints against Ponmudy in the recent case, no FIR had been filed, that the judge Anand Venkatesh had to take it suo motu, and then finally direction had been given today, thanks to the Honorable Justice. Now things have to go on.
I mean, the question about DMK's evolving politics, I know that sometimes there's often, this problem of language, and sometimes it's also about ideology and politics. So a lot of what Udaynidhi says or A. Raja says might not be understood by a lot of people who don't understand DMK's politics. But Ponmudy, whatever he said was extremely vulgar. So there are no two questions about that. Do you think that the DMK also needs to be very careful, because it's talking about welfare, it's talking about free bus rides for women. It's going to face a very challenging election next year. And if it's leaders, old leaders, loyalists who speak like this and get away with this, and courts have to intervene, clearly that's a message to the party.
Please understand that the ideology is essentially supported by an element of sense. There is no sense in whatever they say. These are just emotive issues that they take it up, like language policy.
Yes.
Yeah, like language policy. They just take it as emotive issues just to fool around with the common man. Now they are not buying the theory. And the DMK is getting desperate.
Would you like to say something on this?
Yeah. Bringing down a hate monger like Ms. Kalyanam Raman and Madam Kasturi Shankar, both of them have been a habitual offender, and they have made sure to peddle so much of lies and provoke hate mongering speeches in Tamil diaspora, and bringing down them to preach like a Satan who's being preaching like a gospel is it's a great irony, is what I believe. And as I said on the first instance, we don't have any iota of acceptance with what Mr. Ponmudy has spoke, and it has to be dealt in with an iron fist, and which has been dealt by the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu by stripping her down his party position. And as I said earlier, if it has to be a hate-mongering speeches, everyone's constitutional position should be stripped, then the entire BJP should be in the jail. because even we have a list of top 10 people who have been hate mongers.
You talk like a fundamentalist gentleman.
The first one is
Okay, nobody is a hate monger here, just a discussion. But yeah, with that, we end this broadcast. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. We move on to the other important story today. The Supreme Court has refused to stay recent amendments to the Waqf Act for now. The centre has in fact given assurances no new appointments to Waqf boards or councils, no Waqf properties by use will be denotified or altered until the next hearing. To discuss this, we have with us AIMIM leader Asaduddin Owaisi, one of the first petitioners against this law. Thank you, Mr. Owaisi, for speaking to NDTV for your time. My first question to you, sir, the SG's assurances are now on record, no appointments, no change in the status of Waqf properties till the next hearing. Do you see this as some sort of real relief, or do you see this as a pause before a storm?
No, first of all, I take objection to the word assurance by the SG. You see, the Supreme Court yesterday itself had told that they want to give an interim relief. So it was not a question of SG's assurance. The Supreme Court had given an interim relief, and it's an interim relief. But our objective, our struggle, and our opinion is that this whole act in itself is unconstitutional. It violates Article 14, 15, 25, 26, and 29. And apart from what has been given as relief, there are many sections still in this law which will destroy the Waqf board and which are not in the interest of the Muslim Waqf board.
Okay. But Mr. Owaisi, do you also anticipate a long, protracted legal battle ahead? And in that case, what, in your view, is the strongest constitutional argument against these amendments? Because yesterday we did see this discussion on Article 26, and it reminded me of the hijab case hearing in Karnataka, the essential practices to Islam. What do you think is your strongest constitutional argument, which will not just stick in courts, but also resonate with people of this country?
See, I hope this does not become a protracted legal battle, because if it unfortunately, if it becomes a protracted legal battle, then it is the Waqf board and the Muslim community which will stand to lose more. Now, I tell you, for example, as we speak today, the law of limitation has been applied to the Waqf properties. Basically, the encroachers will become owners as of now. Under Section 2, the trust properties which were part of Waqf will now not be part of Waqf, and this will unnecessarily be rewarding to the richest man of our country who has built his great palatial home on a Khoja orphanage. Thirdly, you have the 5 years limit of practicing Islam. Now, please tell me, who will decide whether one is practicing or not? The term contravenes. What about if she's a lady? Fourthly, we'll be losing all Waqf evacuee properties, because as of now, from today onwards, they'll become under government custodian. If the collector issues instructions to a mutawalli to do something stupid, which is not part of the work of mutawalli, he can be sentenced to 5 years. The collector, the government of India will be making rules which will be violating rules of federalism. So there are many, these are 40 odd amendments which are contrary to the constitution and in particular fundamental rights. So a legal battle continues. It is the Muslim community who will still be losing property despite the interim relief given by the Honorable Supreme Court.
Right. Mr. Owaisi, how do you also look at this criticism that this is overreach by judiciary, because this, at the end of the day, is a law that was passed by the parliament? Do you see this as necessary intervention? Because at the end of the day, there was discussion before this bill was passed, it became an act, and governments are responsible because they are elected governments, and people who voted for them, the governments are answerable to those people.
Well, you see, the government is in a dictatorial mood from last 10, 11 years. The parliament is independent, the executive is independent, and judiciary is independent. So the judiciary has a role, it is independent, and they are there to check whether a law has been passed according to the constitution, whether it is violating freedom of fundamental rights, whether it is violating basic structure of the constitution. and one has to accept. See, the government cannot, is behaving like a small child. Oh, if I don't get my toy, I'll cry. That is not the case. We are also saying it's an interim relief. I've given you examples of 7 sections wherein the Muslims will be losing Waqf property, but it is a judgment of the Supreme Court. So that is why I say that our protest and our legal battle will continue, because unless and until we are successful in calling this law an unconstitutional, the government will be looting the Waqf properties and the Muslims will be the sufferers over here.
Right. Mr. Owaisi, I know that you've discussed this earlier as well, but the SG has also raised a very core issue here. Entire villages being marked as Waqf, private lands being declared disputed. We've had case studies from, Munambam in Kerala and also Kattukole in Tamil Nadu. The SG says that this is about property rights, land rights, and also the rights of poor people. How do you respond to that?
Now, first of all, land is a state issue. What has the central government got to do? Secondly, is he trying to say that lands which are part of Waqf should be given to people who want it not to be Waqf? So this is the hypocrisy of the government. You see, and it is the government, by issuing a gazette notification, they have called those properties Waqf. It is not you and me. So it is the responsibility of the government to protect those properties which are issued by the state government, by the chief secretary of the gazetted properties. Instead of that, your real intention has come out now. You are not there to save the Waqf properties. You want to reward encroachers, which you are doing right now when we speak, in the form of Limitation Act being applied, in the form of Section 2, the trusts have come out of Waqf, in the form of evacuee Waqf properties are now in government custody.
Right. Also, Mr. Owaisi, my last question to you is, what do you see as larger socio-political consequences if this law stays? Do you see this creating discord between communities? Because the government claims that nobody was really harmed by CAA or Triple Talaq law, and that the opposition is just creating noise. We know what is happening in Murshidabad, and that's really sad and horrific. And more importantly, the argument that for every Waqf by user property, 13th century mosque, there's also a temple that could be older than that. So that, makes it very clear that this is a never-ending debate. How do you respond to that?
Now, please allow me a minute to answer 4 important points you have raised. Number 1 is about Waqf by user. You have been a witness to the joint working committee meetings. When we come out, we had spoken to media. I had given a dissent note against the Waqf by user being removed. Now, can the government show us that if there is a temple from 12th century, the Hindu endowment law of Tamil Nadu and an important jurist like Mr. B.K. Mukherjee says, by usage, it becomes the mud property or temple property. Supreme Court has upheld Waqf by user in the Ram Mandir judgment. Thirdly, I have been consistently saying that if that bill becomes a law, this will weaken our social fabric. This will lead to more social tension. This will lead to divisiveness. This will lead to more wrong messaging. And unfortunately, violence took place in Murshidabad, which we condemn. Violence has no place. But why has the government brought this law? How is it supporting the Waqf? Where is the transparency? Please give us examples by section wise. You're not able to do that. When it is good for a Hindu endowment board, the Buddhist board or the Christian board or the Sikh Gurdwara, why it is wrong for the Muslim community?
Right. Thank you, Mr. Owaisi, for speaking to NDTV and raising those questions, some of which have also been raised by the court. But remember that the government is sure of getting this through. We'll have to wait and see how this plays out in the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, moving on to the other important story today, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar has criticized the judiciary questioning delay in investigating a judge's cash scandal and expressing concerns about judicial powers. He emphasized that judges cannot order the president, and he has also urged transparency in such investigation, saying that let the can of worms come out in public. Mr. Dhankar's remarks have in fact sparked a debate now, and they have highlighted tensions between judiciary and also government.
An event happened on the night of 14th and 15th of March in New Delhi at the residence of a judge, one of our institutions to which people have looked up always with highest respect and deference, was put in the dock. It is now over a month. Even if it is can of worms, even if there are skeletons in the cupboard, time to blow up the can. Time for its lid to go out, and time for the cupboard to collapse. Let the worms and skeletons be in public domain so that cleansing takes place.
With that, it's time for a short break. More news and updates on the other side.